about starting a business. Interestingly enough, you can almost reduce it to 6 questions. The 6 questions neatly fall under 3 headings. The first is the market, the second is the industry, and the third are people. And in each one of those headings, there's a very narrow question and there's a broad question, or as I like to say, in the small and in the large. So, for example, in the market, in the small and the narrow, it's the first question is about you and a customer. What is the benefit? The second question is, what is the most attractive marketplace? Under industry, the first question is, how much sustainable advantage do you have against your competitors? And in the large, it's what kind of industry are you in? In the third, under people, the narrow question is, do you have the right skills and experience in your team? And in the large, the question is, who else are you going to have to meet and leverage in order to succeed? Let's go through them one at a time. The first question is, what advantage do you bring? What's the benefit? The second is, in the larger context, what is the qualities of the marketplace and which marketplaces should you go for? A fast-growing market permits more new customers on a relative basis to total customers, and thus it's easier for a new entrant like yourself to succeed. Thus, when you look at marketplaces, you should differentiate between them on their basis of attractiveness, based on which is the fastest growing. The second key attribute to look at when you look at marketplaces is to look at how easy is it to reach that customer. The further the customer is from you, the number of distribution channels, their accessibility, the number of mechanisms by which you might reach them. Is there a magazine that specializes in that group? Are your birdwatchers the community you're interested in? Do they have a birdwatcher magazine? It might sound trite to you, but in fact, the cost of reaching a group of customers is marketing, and marketing is the biggest variable cost in a business, and it can sink or swim a business. Therefore, knowing how difficult it is to reach a group of customers will in large part determine how much money, time, and effort you have to put into marketing. And the more you have to put in is a bad thing, because the larger the marketing cost, the larger a risk you take and the more you spend reaching them, and therefore the more you burden the cost of your solution, because the cost of reaching the customer is going to be incorporated into your price. If they are too distant or if they are too difficult to reach, it could be your entire business is unviable as a result, because it simply costs you too much to reach the customer. Thus, in looking at market segments and looking at groups of people, you want to find the new entrants, and you want to find the new entrants that are easy to reach, because they're the initial market segment that you're most likely to win with. So, markets. In the small, it's the individual customer. In the large, it's the entire group. The second thing to look at is the industry. Now, the industry as well. An industry is different from a market. A market is a group of people who have a mutual desire to buy something. An industry is a group of companies and people that seek to sell something. So who makes up the industry? The industry is made up of you and all the other companies, your competitors and your partners, who are trying to provide a product or service to a given group of people. Now, the challenges are, some industries are just inherently unprofitable, and therefore there's better and worse industries to be in. And if you have a choice, if you start a business or you intend to start a business, and you have an idea about that business, well, that will place you squarely in an industry. It's important to know how good or bad an industry you're looking at, and there's questions you can ask about that as well. But in the beginning, when you look at the question of industry, it's a question in the small and it's a question in the large. The question in the small, the tight question, is how do you fare against your competitors? That is measured by advantage. You have an advantage over another competitor. You have a USP, you have a unique selling proposition. You have something about you that makes you better, different, faster, cheaper. That's your advantage. So the first question is how much of an advantage do you have? If you have a small advantage, well, then it's going to be very difficult to displace a competitor who's already in market, because the cost of changing from a solution they have to you has to be less than the value you provide. If the advantage you provide is less than the cost of transferring from the competitor to you, you'll never transfer any customers. Now, mind you, if you have competitors but you have a fast-growing market, then there might be room in that marketplace for you to gain your share of the new companies. Thus, the marketplace is a question you have to ask in conjunction with the industry you're in. So a bad industry, to some degree, could be offset by a fast-growing market.